In 2008, our family spent a day in Laredam Woodland, a large site with a strong coal mining history. Our cabin lies close to the forest and a few hundred feet from the mines. Our first day was great, taking family photos and exploring what the site has to offer. Until that night on our second day. It was a rather quiet night. We were all sitting at the lounge near the fireplace and having cookies and cocoa. We were laughing while looking at the old photos from our last year's fishing trip by the lake. This is until we noticed something on the background on one of the photos. There was an odd figure that was nearly camouflaged in the trees. We were just thinking that it could just be the branches and we were just imagining things. The silence was then broken when my sister screamed. She pointed at the window and said that she saw something looking at us. But when the rest of us looked, there was nothing. My father then stood up and was gonna go outside to look, but my mom stopped him and asked him to just lock the doors and close the windows. My dad still went to the porch and checked. "Nothing here," he said. Then got back inside and locked all doors and closed the windows and curtains, and we went to our rooms after. It was around 3 a.m. when I was awoken by a tapping sound on my window. I peeked with one eye, and I think I saw a tree branch hitting the glass window because of the wind. I tried to ignore it and tried to go back to sleep. It hadn't been a few minutes when I noticed that the tapping sound became louder. I am now annoyed and I decided to get out of the bed and break the branch that has been hitting the window, as the tapping sound is now getting on my nerves. It was a big mistake. As soon as I got close to the window, I noticed something odd. Something not right. I then realized that what has been tapping the window was not a tree branch, but a creature. Its face was oval and had a smiling mouth with nothing but darkness. I was petrified. I was not able to move even my finger. It like sees me the moment I look into its hollowed eyes. I was then snapped back to reality when I smelled the fragrance of cinnamon. For some reason, I've heard bone-breaking sounds from outside the house. Our eye contact was broken when it looked at the side of the house and away from me. This must have been the reason I was able to regain control over my body. I quickly grabbed the blinds and let it slide down, covering the window. Still shaken, I rushed over to my parents' room. When I told them what happened while shaken down and terrified, my dad stood up and went to check on my room. He picked through the blinds but saw nothing. He then went to my sister's room to check on her. She was still asleep. Her windows and blinds were shut and had her earphones with music still on. No wonder she wouldn't hear anything from outside her room. My dad then told me to calm down and just sleep in my sister's room for the night. The next morning, we found some broken tree branch by the back of the house where my room window was. Must have been some animals trying to climb the trees, my dad said. I tried to forget what I've seen and tried to enjoy the day. I had my camera and tried to take pictures of the scenery and the woods. For our last night, we wanted to sleep all together near the fireplace before we go back to the city. Around 2:30 a.m., we were all awakened by a loud, crashing sound. The window on our side was broken by something. My dad stood up, asked us to move behind and away from the window and the door. Then, what we saw next gave a chill in our spine. We saw an arm enter the window and was trying to grab us. At that moment, we saw half of its face peeking from outside. It was able to grab my father by the ankle and drag him towards the window. Everyone was in panic and we don't know what to do. My sister was terrified and started crying. My mom was in a state of shock and was just staring at the thing that was dragging my dad. I gathered every courage I could muster and grabbed the iron bar by the fireplace and tried to smash the creature's hand. It let out a loud shriek and then a terrifying roar. My dad was trying hard to hold on to the floorboards, but the thing was gripping into its ankle harder and harder. I could see my dad in pain while trying to prevent himself from being pulled outside. His grip loosened and the creature was able to pull him near the window. He then used his other leg to kick the creature's hand, but it would not budge. He stepped his other feet on the window frame and tried to kick as hard as he can to stop the creature from pulling him outside. Then, just when he was pulled to the window, a fast bone-cracking sound was heard, and in an instant, the creature was now coiled by a bone-like snake or whatever it was. I was not sure if it was trying to help us or if it's trying to steal us from the creature. The thing tightened its grip and the creature forcing it to let go of my dad to be able to use its hand to remove the bone creature. It was able to escape the bone creature's coil, but when it tried to attack, the bone creature used its body like a whip and threw the creature back. The creature appeared to be in pain and rushed back to the woods. We were still in shock and awe from what we saw happen. Still terrified and with the hurting ankle, my dad tried to go back inside. The bone creature then helped my dad get up and go inside the house. The bone creature stayed at the roof for a few more minutes before leaving. When sunrise came, we no longer packed our clothes but rather just took our important stuff and rushed into the car to go back to the city and never go back to our cabin. When we got home, I noticed something unusual in the background of a photo. It was a photo of my sister that I took who was standing in front of a cluster of trees. But upon closer inspection, I noticed that there was a sinister form tucked in the tree line. It was that creature that tapped on my window and attacked us. We swear never to return or go to any wooded place ever again.